Rocky Marciano, the Brockton blockbuster. Hi guys. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you about a boxer, who is the only heavyweight champion to have finished his career undefeated. This undefeated boxer is known as Rocky Marciano, and his real name was Rocco Francis Marciano. This excellent boxer competed from 1947 to 1955 and held the world heavyweight title for 4 years, from 1952 to 1956. Before we go any further, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any future videos. Rocky Marciano's early life. Rocky Marciano was born on September 1, 1923, in Brockton, Massachusetts, to an immigrant Italian family from a very tough neighborhood. Rocky had 2 brothers and 3 sisters. His parents worked grueling jobs to provide for Rocky and his siblings. He grew up in Brockton and attended Brockton High School, where he played in both baseball and football teams. He was first interested in a baseball career. However, he was cut from the school's baseball team after violating a school rule forbidding its players from joining other teams. Rocky Marciano dropped out of school after 10th grade to help support the family. He worked as a chute delivery driver for the Brockton Ice and Coal Company and dug ditches as his second job. He also worked as a shoemaker and railroad layer to get by. All these ordinary jobs helped him and his family to survive tough days. His service in United States Army. Rocky Marciano was later drafted into the United States Army in March 1943 for a period of 2 years during World War II. He was assigned to the 150th Combat Engineers. He was stationed in Swansea, Wales, where he helped ferry supplies across the English Channel to Normandy. After World War II ended, he completed his service at Fort Lewis, Washington in March 1946. His amateur boxing career. Rocky Marciano first started boxing while serving the U.S. Army. He represented the U.S. Army and won the Amateur Armed Forces Boxing Tournament in 1946. His amateur record was 8-4. In late March 1947, Marciano with some friends decided to travel to Fayetteville, North Carolina to try out for the Fayetteville Cubs. It was a farm team for the Chicago Cubs baseball team. Marciano couldn't last long in the team. After failing to find a spot on another baseball team, he returned to Brockton. He then began boxing training with an old friend, Ali Colombo. Charlie Goldman was his trainer and Al Wheel and Chick Wergelis served as his managers. Rocky Marciano started late in boxing. Most people who have an idea that they want to become boxers start at least when they are in their teens, but Rocky Marciano started his boxing career quite late and excelled at it. His professional boxing career. Rocky Marciano started fighting as a professional boxer on July 12, 1948. He notched a win over Harry Bilazarian that night. Early in his boxing career, he changed his original last name that was Marciano to a more Italian-sounding name Marciano because a ring announcer could not pronounce it. He fought boxing powerhouses such as Phil Muscato, an experienced heavyweight from New York, and Carmen Vingdo, who was 16-10 at the time. Carmen Vingdo almost died after his fight with Marciano, but he pulled through and survived. He befriended Rocky Marciano later in his life. Rocky Marciano also fought Roland Lastaja on March 24, 1950, and won by split decision. Roland Lastaja may have come closer to defeating Rocky Marciano as a professional than any other boxer. Marciano won the fight on a supplemental point system used by New York and Massachusetts at that time. Marciano was showcased on national television for the first time on July 12, 1951, knocking out Rex Lane, who was 34-12, in 6 rounds. On October 27, 1951, when Marciano was just 28 years old, he took on the 37-year-old champion Joe Louis, upsetting him in his farewell career bout. After defeating 35-year-old Lisa Voigt and Harry Matthews, Rocky Marciano was given a shot at the world title. Rocky Marciano, the world heavyweight champion. Rocky Marciano captured the belt on September 23, 1952, after defeating the 38-year-old world heavyweight champion Jersey Joe Walcott at the age of 29. Initially, Marciano was dropped out by Walcott in the first round, but he steadily built a points lead, winning the match. Marciano then fought the lightweight legend Ezzard Charles, who became the only man to ever last 15 rounds against Marciano. He then also fought against the British and European champion Don Coquelle, knocking him out in the 9th round. On September 21, 1955, Rocky Marciano fought his last title bout against the 38-year-old great Archie Moore. Marciano was knocked down in the second round by Moore, but he recovered and retained his title with a knockout in the ninth round. Rocky Marciano announced his retirement on April 27, 1956, at the age of 32 after defending the championship 6 times. He finished with a phenomenon record of 49-0-0 by the end of his career. Rocky Marciano's knockout punch. Rocky Marciano was God-gifted in his punch capability. Despite the lack of experience from an early age, the power in both of his hands was crazy. Most of the fighters have one hand with the knockout power, but Rocky Marciano could knock out heavyweights with both of his punches. Naturally, Marciano was a short man and lighter than most heavyweights. But because he fought back in the 1940s and 50s, weight class wasn't really a thing. Despite his short height and less weight, he fought in the heavyweight class against men much taller and heavier than him. It wasn't just that he was blessed, he worked hard to achieve his goals and maintain his legacy. Marciano knew he had the knockout power, but to increase it, he got a custom-made heavy bag of 300 pounds. He would punch on it so hard that the bag moved just to train himself. This turned him into a deadly boxer. Marciano perfected his punching technique in his career to the point that he could throw the gazelle punch. A gazelle punch is a very risky and deadly punch, but if it lands rightly, it hurts the opponent to a great extent. Because you leap towards the opponent, which is not the primary rule of boxing, it is considered a risky technique. But still, Rocky Marciano could pull it off, and that too with both of his hands. Boxing is all about to hit and not get hit, but Marciano would never stop coming forward to hit his knockout punch. Rocky Marciano's dedication and will for boxing. Rocky Marciano had something about him that many fighters don't have today. He fought with all his heart and the will to win. He fought not for money or fame, but to show that he was a great fighter. It was Marciano's dedication that he always got out of situations that were quite dangerous. His first fight with Jersey Joe and second fight with Ezzard Charles was exemplary. His taking over older but still very dangerous Jersey Joe Walcott showed his capabilities. In the middle of the fight, Marciano told his trainers that he couldn't see, and by the end of the 7th round, it was getting worse to the point that almost any fighter today would have quit. But by the 10th round, his eyes started to clear up and he started to fight, and when the 13th round came, Marciano knocked out Jersey Joe Walcott, becoming the new heavyweight champion of the world. Moreover, his defeating probably the best light heavyweight ever, Ezzard Charles, twice showed his dedication. Their first fight was grueling, but Marciano won a close decision. Their second fight was very memorable too, as in round 8, Rocky's nose was split into 2 and it was bleeding a lot. Marciano then returned to fight with blood oozing from his nose on the motivation of his trainer and knocked out Ezzard, keeping his title. Marciano defended his World Heavyweight Champion title 6 times before retiring on April 27, 1956. Everyone knew just as much as Rocky Marciano that there was no one to fight him, and he wasn't going to get big bucks fighting the names he had already defeated on his way up. So Marciano decided to retire at the age of 32, undefeated. Marciano's life after boxing. After he retired from boxing, Rocky Marciano entered the world of television. He started hosting a weekly boxing show on TV in 1961. He also appeared in the combat episode Masquerade. For a brief period of time, Marciano also worked as a troubleshooting referee in wrestling. Marciano chose to continue as a referee and boxing commentator in several boxing matches for many years. He was also into the restaurant business as a partner and vice president of Papa Luigi's Spaghetti Dens, a San Francisco-based franchise company originally formed by Joe Kearns and James Brawley. Marciano started living with his family in Florida after retirement. He built a custom home in Wilton Manors, Florida, a suburb of Fort Lauderdale. His house still stands there. Rocky Marciano vs. Muhammad Ali. In late July 1969, Marciano was approached by Murray Werner, a promoter from Miami, who wanted to film Rocky Marciano and Muhammad Ali's fight with a computer deciding the result. Marciano wasn't in need of the money, but he agreed anyhow. Marciano knew he had to get into decent shape before fighting, so he started going to the gym, started eating right, and trained for it like for a real fight. In the end, he lost over 50 pounds before the fight. He also got a wig fitted because he was bald at that time. On the other hand, Muhammad Ali didn't put any real effort and time into it. He looked less in shape than Marciano. Marciano was 45 and Ali was 26 at the time of the fight. Each round of the fight was fought in 1-minute segments and all the data was recorded on the computer. Rocky Marciano and Muhammad Ali both agreed to no headshots but body shots were allowed. During the fight, Muhammad Ali knocked off Marciano's wig 3 times. On January 20, 1970, the fight was shown all over media and with one version having Rocky Marciano winning and the second version having Muhammad Ali winning the fight. Unfortunately, Rocky Marciano was not alive to see the film. Rocky Marciano's death. Rocky Marciano's death was a tragic one. He died in a plane accident on August 31, 1969, a day before his 46th birthday. Rocky Marciano was a passenger in a small private plane, a Cessna 172, that was heading to Des Moines, Iowa. 28-year-old Frankie Farrell, the oldest son of organized crime figure Lou Farrell, was also flying in the back seat with Rocky Marciano. It was a night flight that was interrupted by bad weather on its way. Glenn Bells was the pilot of Marciano's flight. He had 231 total hours of flying time. Following bad weather, Glenn Bells tried to land the plane at a small airfield outside Newton in Iowa. But unfortunately, the plane tragically hit a tree just 2 miles away from the runway. Rocky Marciano, pilot Glenn Bells, and Frankie Farrell, all were killed by the impact caused by the crash landing of the plane. He was only 45 years old when he died. Rocky Marciano's legacy. Rocky Marciano was and will remain one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. Marciano holds the record for the longest undefeated streak by a heavyweight, with heavyweight John L. Sullivan and Brian Nielsen. Marciano also holds the record for being the only world heavyweight champion to go undefeated throughout his entire career. Rocky Marciano had 2 children, a son, and a daughter, who died due to a respiratory illness. Rocky Marciano is a member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame and also the World Boxing Hall of Fame. He is remembered as the Rock from Brockton, the Rocky Marciano. Final thoughts. That's all for today's video and thanks for watching it. If you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to share your thoughts and valuable feedback with us in the comments section below. Lastly, if you have not already subscribed to this channel, subscribe to it, and press that bell button so you will be notified each time we upload an interesting video on this channel. And while you are here, click to watch one of these 2 videos that are appearing on your screen. We will see you there. Take care and stay tuned.